the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it in front of the Kop.
Yes, good morning, people, and welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. Before we even get into previewing this FA Cup third round tie at home to Wolves on Saturday at 8 o'clock at night, who would have thought we'd be playing an 8 o'clock Saturday kickoff in the FA Cup against Wolves? Not me, but we are. Before we get into that, please like the video. Comment with your thoughts as well, and please subscribe if you haven't already to the Kop TV on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We've actually got a Discord channel now as well. If you're into your Discord, I can put the link in the chat and we can carry on the chat in Discord as well if you fancy it. So let me know if there's any Discorders in the group as well. But I wanted to read off some stats before we get into this one. Now, this is quite interesting, these stats, right? Wolves have been a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool, especially in the FA Cup third round. We've actually lost to them twice, right? So Liverpool have been eliminated in 5 of their 7 FA Cup ties against Wolves, including 2 under Jurgen Klopp in 2016-17 and 18-19. Both of those came in the January of the latter of those years. The last win against Wolves in the FA Cup was in February 1952, people. Over 60 years ago now. Over 70 years ago. In fact, that is 71 years ago, isn't it? Wolves have lost 11 of their last 13 games against Liverpool. The only 2 wins are those FA Cup wins. As I mentioned, 2-1 in January 2017 and again 2-1 in January 2019. Liverpool are, of course, the holders of the FA Cup, having beaten Chelsea on penalties in last year's final. I was there. It was an absolute glorious day. But the Reds have gone out in the third round in 4 of their last 7 seasons as holders, most recently in 06-07 when we lost 3-1 at home to Arsenal. This is the 7th time now Wolves have faced the FA Cup holders in 4 of those 6 previous occasions. Either Wolves themselves or their opponents do go on to reach the final, and Liverpool have progressed from 10 of their last 11 FA Cup third round ties, losing the only one to Wolves in 2018-19. So that backs up my point about Wolves being a little bit of a bogey team for Liverpool in the FA Cup especially. Now, I've spoken to Wolves fans, big up Matt Cooper, who almost can't be bothered to even do a preview or even talk much about this game. He thinks it's a little bit of a dead rubber. But obviously, as holders of the FA Cup, Liverpool need to make sure that we go through this round in style. And is it the first time that we do see Cody Gakpo in a Liverpool red shirt, especially at Anfield? This could be and probably will be his debut. But as we know, Virgil van Dijk is now out. There was a lot of question marks over why he went off at halftime against Brentford the other night. It was due to a hamstring injury. And initially, it was a precaution to bring him off. But after further tests, they found out that this is a little bit more serious and a little bit more time-consuming than they initially thought. So, Reds in the comments right now. 2 questions for you. Smash the comments for me. Will Cody Gakpo start or make his debut for Liverpool? And how will Liverpool continue, really, or play on, knowing that Van Dijk will be out for the next 2 weeks at least? How do we play with that Van Dijk injury? A lot of people in the comments already. Massive shout out to all of you. Big up to Ravi as always. Sultan as well. Big up to you, my friend. Kazi saying the Discord sounds good. Perfect. Then I will link the Discord in this chat for you guys. We can carry on the chat there. Afternoon, Alex. I hope you're okay. Big up to you. And as always, can see us making mass changes for this one. So we are going to get into a lineup prediction, and I want to hear your thoughts as well. Ali A asking about a man who's in the thumbnail of this video, Mateus Nunes. Alex, are we getting him as one of our 3 midfielders next summer? If there was a time to get him, it would have been last summer. We were linked with him, as we know. We were very strongly linked with him. And then we see him playing for Wolves for a decent fee. I think it was around 44 million. But if we were to buy him in the summer, it would be around 50 million. Now, the price going up is something I can't really understand, considering that he hasn't really done much for Wolves so far. Again, Wolves fans, if you are watching, let me know how you've seen him perform so far in that iconic orange shirt for Wolves. I haven't seen too much. But Liverpool fans, do we want Matheus Nunes, or has the moment passed? Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. Ravi saying, until everyone at the club sorts key issues, we will continue to go backwards. This will cost us top 4 and Champions League and titles. And once we don't have top 4, we'll struggle to get back in it for a long time. Do you know what? I mean, obviously not a positive message to read out, but at the same time, a little bit of truth in this one as well. A lot of criticism being aimed at Pep Linders at the minute as well, which I don't think is totally fair. Another report that I'm seeing today on Twitter is Liverpool have added Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, the Leicester midfielder, to their transfer shortlist. Of course, he scored at Anfield for Leicester last week. I've been really impressed with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, if I'm honest. A very cultured player, it seems. Got that left foot, can play in the midfield or a little bit further forward. He obviously scored at the Kop end the other night. So showing off that those goal kind of scoring positions that he can find himself in. I think that we're a big fan of that. And I also saw a stat this morning that said in our midfielders this season, there's been 2 goals and 2 assists. One of those goals has come from Stefan Bajcetic, and I think one's come from Harvey Elliott in the midfield. So it's the age-old scenario for Liverpool, really. We need more goals, we need more assists, we need more. Just in general, we need more from our midfielders. Now, is Kieran Dewsbury-Hall the man to get? Is it Matheus Nunes? Obviously, we know that Jude Bellingham is well in that shortlist, probably at the top of it as well. We've been linked with Enzo Fernandez, obviously been linked with Caicedo as well. So in terms of midfielders, where do Liverpool go from here? Because, as I mentioned, we need goals, we need assists, we need young legs really in that midfield. We know that Carragher had quite a lot to say after that defeat to Brentford the other day. He mentioned the fact that Henderson is getting older, Fabinho is getting older, and obviously Thiago isn't getting any younger as well. And what kind of backed that up was a graph that showed the high sprints, the presses made by Liverpool and other teams over the last 3 years. In 2018 to 2020, Liverpool were at the top of that list. We now sit 14th. I'll read that again. Liverpool now sit 14th in the Premier League table when it comes to sprints, high energy runs, and presses in the Premier League. Now, is that fatigue? Is that age? It's the $1 million question, really, isn't it? Why aren't these players running more or as much as they did 2 or 3 years ago? For me personally, age shouldn't really come into it. I mean, obviously players do get older. It's not going to be the same, but at the same time, all we're doing is asking you to run more. Don't look at age. Look at James Milner. He's 37. He's the fittest football player at the club. He still runs more than any other player. So that kind of debunks the age argument for me in terms of why these players aren't running as much. Take Sadio Mane out of that team as well, and that will definitely bring the numbers down. He was almost one of the first men to him and Bobby Firmino in a way were 2 of the first Liverpool players to really own that gegenpressing style of football. Obviously Firmino hasn't played as much as he wanted to in the last 2 years. So why is it that our players just simply aren't running enough? Let us know in the comments. It's a massive debate and one we can talk about a lot more on Hot Topics next week. But at the same time, it's simply not good enough. Big up to Theo involved. I'm fed up with this season, to be honest. I don't care about the FA Cup. Just need to focus on getting top 4, says Sultan. He should make his debut. We're talking about Gakpo here. He'll come off the bench, so you don't think he'll start, Theo. I thought Gakpo might make a cameo from the bench. And can we play a 3-4-3, which would be really interesting, Maxwell? I haven't actually thought about that at this stage. I think he starts, and surely it's Konate and Matip. I agree. I think we'll win on pens. Liverpool love to win on penalties, don't they? In the League Cup, FA Cup, penalty shootouts. It's not what the fans want to see, but if it gets you through, it gets you through. But hopefully we can finish this one off in 90 minutes because it goes straight to penalties. There's no extra time, as you guys know. Big up to Carmino Pilla. Hope we win the FA Cup 3rd round. Need to buy Barella from Inter Milan. That's another name that we've been linked to, surely. will Cody start for the next game? Well, we're going to speak about that right here, guys. And everyone that's sending in comments, massive shout out to you. Remember, I can't read them all, but if you want your comment to be read out without question and send it right to the top of the pile, please do send in a super chat if you can. If you can't, then obviously do send in your comments. They're much appreciated, regardless of how much money there is behind them. But if you want to get that right to the top, do send in a super chat if you can. Why am I thinking that Jude will be the only midfield that we sign in the summer? Well, depending on who you believe and what you think, Liverpool needs 2 to 4 midfielders now and in the summer. Obviously, we know that Keita, Ox, and James Milner are all likely to leave. So do you replace them 3 with younger men, or do you replace them with 4 players? These guys have been, especially James Milner, been massively loyal to Liverpool for the last 7 or 8 years. It will be 8 years actually until in the summer to when James Milner joined Liverpool in 2015. A great signing, but probably time to move on. And if he does move on, then you do need to bring in a mix of experience and youth, and also quality as well. Liverpool can't afford to buy another Naby Keita. We can't afford to buy another player who costs a lot and is injured a lot and hasn't shown a lot of promise. Obviously, Artemelo, what a disaster of a signing that's been for both him and Liverpool. Still injured now. He said that the other day, 2022 has been probably the worst year of his life when it comes to playing football. I think he's only played 13 minutes for Liverpool so far in that massive away defeat to Napoli. So it begs the question, how many midfielders do we need to bring in? Who are the right names to set up Liverpool's midfield for the next 2 to 4 years, really? It's a massive question and one that we will speak about even more. AGT, my bro, just wondering where you're actually from. Well, right now I'm in Liverpool city centre. If I turn the camera around, you might be able to see the Radio City building just there. There you go. And the Liver buildings are over there. So right now I'm in Liverpool city centre, as you know, but I do come from North London, but all my family are from Liverpool. Just in case you didn't know, a lot of people in the comments already know that, but big up to you for the question. Núñez will be better than Elliott in midfield, big and strong. Why not at this point? Well, I'm not sure Núñez is big and strong. Have you seen him? I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. Need more Diaz, Liverpool FC. Of course, necesito más ejemplos de calidad desde Diaz. We need Diaz in the team, back on that pitch, ASAP. Gutted that he's been out for this long. Manu Kone. There you go, another player. Big up to John for that, and Maxwell as well, basically saying that Liverpool need to go all out for Manu Kone. Núñez can't play for another team this season anyway, so it's a blag shout. There you go. You can't play for 3 teams in a season, I don't think. So that's a very good point, actually. I don't think Liverpool can officially even try to buy him because of this rule. Big up to Sultan. We're moving stupid. Why didn't we get him last summer? What is this? It feels like a loan. Absolutely. We need 3 good new midfielders and 1 good centre-back. We need 3 again, says MK. I'm worried because we become less and less attractive for our targets every time we play. A club like Chelsea solves this problem with overpaying, but we won't splash the cash. We need to buy players end of. I think that's very, very clear, Jen, and obviously we need them in January. But if we don't, how does the rest of the season look for Liverpool if we don't? They've been running to the ground, not enough rotation, too many aging players in an aging team. We also need defenders, but we will fix that after 3 seasons, knowing FSG. Not a lot of love for the owners in this chat. Teams are literally walking through our midfield. And I think the point that Carragher made the other day about he's seen the likes of Franco Baresi be one of the best midfielders of all time. We can look at Nesta Maldini. All these guys had absolute world-class protection in front of them in that midfield. If you go back to the 80s and Baresi in particular, he had Ancelotti right in front of him, sweeping up all the mess. You go to Nesta and Maldini, they had Seedorf, Kaka, Gattuso, all these absolute giants in front of them protecting the back 4. And the big red alert, the big missing point for Liverpool at the minute is that midfield. And you saw too many times in the last few games, especially, how teams have bypassed the midfield and basically exposed Virgil van Dijk, Konate, Matip, whoever you want to say, to look like poor defenders in a poor period for Liverpool. And of course, they're not poor defenders. But I agree with Carragher's point in the way that if your midfield isn't covering, protecting, guarding, making sure that nothing gets through them to even danger that defense, then you've got big trouble, because it exposes them. It leaves them 2-on-1, 3-on-2. And more often than not, when an opposing team has a shot against Liverpool at the minute, they score. Now, take away the set piece, horrendous defending the other night. We haven't obviously conceded any set piece goals this season, but we conceded 2 in one match against Brentford the other night. Take those away, and we have seen a lot of shots going in that we concede. Now, obviously, Alisson saves us a ridiculous amount of times with his last-minute saves, but that midfield, it cannot allow players that aren't good as well, not necessarily aren't good, but definitely aren't as good on paper as our midfield. They're just absolutely walking through and getting into that defense, which is so poor when you think about the players that we do have. Thiago and Harvey are basically opposite players to our league-winning midfielders. Hendo and Jimmy were warriors. The other two are class, but it's not the same. I think there's a massive shout to say that we haven't really replaced Gini Wijnaldum in terms of that box-to-box protector. He was a protector. You guys will play FIFA, right? If you hold down that L2 button, it kind of guards the player. That's what Gini did. He never lost the ball. He very rarely lost the ball. And maybe at the time he didn't get enough credit for doing that. But when you can see it so glaringly, obviously there in front of your face that we need someone like that to come in and do the business, we're looking at a Jude Bellingham who can do that brilliantly. We're looking at an Enzo Fernandez who is more of an attacking player. But in terms of that box-to-box guard player, we don't have one anymore. We might have had one in a Thiago or in a Henderson, but 3 or 4 years ago. Right now, the midfield is aging. We need replacements, and they have to be the right type of player to bring in. That's why Liverpool, I think, are taking the time when it gets to bringing in more midfielders. Bit more positivity. SAS Scouser is going for a 2-0 Gakpo brace. How is it that Liverpool have still not purchased a midfielder? From Tyrone, big up to you. And Jean saying that Gakpo will start definitely. We need people now. We have no January money for a midfielder. And Gakpo will play FA Cup or Champions League. Or don't forget, we've got Real Madrid next in the Champions League, so it doesn't get any easier for Liverpool. I see somewhere Real Madrid see Man City more of a threat than Liverpool, or they can think that until they come to Anfield and hopefully get another 4-0. Bellingham is fast becoming a pipe dream. We need to be realistic. Be up to Anthony Matthews for the chat there. And a massive shout out to Bircho12 sending in a super chat. Don't forget, guys, there is too many comments for me to read through. But at the same time, if yours is a super chat, it makes me have to read it out. Thank you so much to Bircho for this very generous super chat. AGT, 2 signings to change this Liverpool team. Who you getting? Big up. Love the channel. Thank you for the question. Oh, it's a good question, mate. It's a very good one. Let me think about this. 2 players. I can only pick 2. I would go with Caicedo and Jude. They would be my 2 midfielders that come in. I haven't mentioned any defenders there. I haven't mentioned any strikers, just because I think at this stage we're good and we've got cover in those positions. We're very lucky. If Virgil is injured, we can bring in a Konate. The level of quality isn't too dissimilar from those both right now. Konate obviously had his probably first bad game for Liverpool against Brentford in scoring an own goal and obviously being at fault for the 3rd goal. So defender-wise, we've got cover at left-back. I'd like to see a lot more of Calvin Ramsey. I'd like to see him start against Wolves. I really, really would. I'd like to see more of Ben Doak as well. But if you're asking me, who are the 2 names to bring in to change this team for the better, it's Caicedo, who is currently only on $3,500 a week at Brighton. Can you believe that? And it would be Jude Bellingham. Now, if we got those 2 and then mixed in almost every other game, a Henderson, a Thiago, a Fabinho, I think that gives you the perfect balance. Very similar to what Liverpool had in the 18-19/20 season when we won the Champions League and the Premier League, in terms of having that ultimate balance in that midfield. If we go back to 2018, let's say, right, and we look at our midfield of Henderson, Milner played a lot in that season. Wijnaldum did as well, but mainly it was Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Fabinho. For me, if you're aging those guys at 26 to 28 in that period, you can't get much better balance than that. We had the workhorse of Gini, the warrior, the leader of Hendo, and the absolute battle axe of Fabinho. And all these guys are giving it quickly to our wingers to counter attack to score goals. So I think that was actually maybe the best perfectly balanced midfield we've ever had. especially in my lifetime. Of course, you can go back and look at Gerard Alonso, Mascherano, these kind of players, but I'm talking about almost the perfect balance, and it proved that by winning a Champions League and a Premier League. That was for me Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Fabinho. Now, if we can get back to that balance, then we're on to a winner, but we won't get there unless we buy some new midfielders. And for me personally, in answer to this question, Bercho, I'm going for, if you're only giving me 2 signings, I'm going Caicedo and Jude Bellingham. Let me know if you agree or not in the comments. Big up to Noel as well. Jude, Caicedo, Kone, Thuram, Nunes, any of those 3. Massive shout out to Lucy Hash as well for the super chat. Very, very grateful for that, my friend. Keep on supporting the Kop TV if you can. 2 to 3 midfielders needed, says Jake, as we've mentioned. Alex, thoughts on Thiago, Bobby and Carvalho rotating, playing in the 10 role? Do you know what? I mentioned this last week, actually, seeing Thiago in a little bit more of an advanced position. He's so good at making those tiny little through balls in that final third. He can obviously have a shot from outside the box. And if we did put him forward, it would maybe allow him to stay up there a bit more and not have to worry about being so much of a defensive midfielder. We saw the other night, Fabinho loses the ball. Thiago has to take out his man and get the yellow card and cover really for Fabinho, which isn't good enough. So if we just put him up a little bit forward, I'd respect that. Bobby obviously can play in that role brilliantly as well. He can be the first line of defense in the way that he presses. And Carvalho can do that, as we know as well. Chelsea have not bought a midfielder since Kovacic, so that's not exactly true. What were you actually referring to there, Rob? Let me know. Jude, Caicedo, Kone, Thuram, Nunes, any of those 3. Jude is a must. I believe our scouts are awful. Wow, big shout here from Maxwell. Look at teams like Napoli, Benfica, and Brighton. It's shit being the poor relations of City, Chelsea, Arsenal, United for transfer cash. Big up to you, Hanson Lawrenson. I believe you are based in Liverpool. Brandon saying we need to refresh the legs in our midfield. Jude, Amrabat, and Nunes can come next summer if we got those. We are well to compete. And Jake Fermo saying that midfield needs to be worked on first, but our defense is getting leaky. And a massive shout out again to Lucy, who says, I don't understand why we are not getting Caicedo. Well, the reason why we're not is because this is a brilliantly inquisitive and interesting transfer model that Brighton have got at the minute. Look at Mitoma as well, by the way. The way that these guys scout, not only in South America, which they've been doing excellently with. Look at Estupiñán. Look at Caicedo from Ecuador. It's not just in South America that they're doing this incredible scouting. It's in Asia as well. Look at Mitoma, guys. This guy 3 years ago was playing in a university football team, right? Now, he's just scored a brilliant goal at Everton the other day. He scored at Arsenal very recently as well. Look at Ewan Ferguson as well. Let's not forget, we're playing Brighton very soon. And I don't think that game is going to be easy in the slightest. Not saying we're going to lose, but unless we're absolutely on it, we will. We will lose that game. So their scouting is unbelievable. And when they get someone like Caicedo in and they put him on a 3.5 grand contract, they're hoping that he plays well and absolutely balloons in transfer fee. And then they can sell him on for a lot more money. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's a brilliant football business model. It's very similar to the likes of the Portuguese teams. And if he is only on 3.5 grand a week, I don't think that's the issue. Obviously, Liverpool would offer him more than that, probably 20 to 30 to 40. But at the same time, it's the transfer fee. They know that players are going to be speaking to clubs, and they know that the big clubs especially are going to have to pay the big bucks if they want to bring these players in. They are not going to be selling him for less than 50 million, guaranteed. Considering the season that he's had so far. Kazi saying it's Yuri Tillemans, Declan Rice, and Endo. Tillemans' contract is up in the summer, as we know. I think it's the right time the FSG must get out of our Kop, says Saeed. Yuri can't run, saying Pranav Singh, big up to you. Let's go through. Wow, so many comments. Amazing engagement from you guys today. Are we getting anyone this January? Who knows? I could sit here and say, yeah, we're getting Jude. Yeah, we're getting Caicedo. But Liverpool, the way that they move in this window, look at Cody Gakpo, look at Jota as well. Signings that have come absolutely out of the blue. So if we do get anyone in January, you can be assured that the Kop TV will be the first people to cover it in depth as well. Mitoma is a great winger. Again, could look at buying him. We need to build a future without Virgil and Matip. Scary, really, when you think about it, in terms of how old Matip and Van Dijk are at the minute. How many more years do they have at the top? Interesting to get your answers on that. Fabinho's legs are gone. Konate is not comfortable on the left. That's why he conceded against Brentford. AGT, are you worried that if we do bring in Jude, then we won't get anybody else, bro? I guess that is a worry, a good worry to have, because if you've got Jude, life's good. Hey Jude, all of that on the Kop. But we don't just need Jude. We need more than that. And I think if we did lay out that big transfer fee to bring him in, then it would be a case of selling the other midfielders that we've got to raise some funds. Now, if we're looking at selling Keita in the summer, then we're not going to get any money for him because his contract is up. And if we're looking to sell Ox in the summer, we're not going to get any money from him because his contract is up. And if you look at James Milner, we're not going to get any money for him as his contract is up. So unless we sell all those three in January, we're not going to make any money on all of them, which isn't the best situation to be in, obviously. Now, if you look at the Liverpool transfer dealings over the last few years, they've been incredible. A lot of hits, very rarely that we get a miss. But I have a question mark when it comes to allowing Liverpool players to leave. Now, we've seen players leave for massive transfer fees. Look at Danny Ward, look at Solanke, look at Ryan Brewster, look at Coutinho, obviously. And these kind of stick out as really good deals. But there is also another side to Liverpool dealings when getting rid of a player that isn't so good, allowing players like Emre Can to leave on a free when we could have maybe got 20 to 30 million out of him. Allowing players like the Ox and Keita to leave on a free just isn't good enough. It is not good enough when you want to buy more players to replace them and you're thinking of using that money acquired by selling them to invest in new players. Can't do that if all of those three leave on a free in the summer. So what is the realistic way of doing this? How do we do it? Because we need midfielders to play from now until the end of the season, but we need to also make money from them. And if we can't make any money from them in the summer, then do we get rid of them now? It's a very, very catch-22 kind of situation that Liverpool find themselves in. Do you think the breaking down of the Enzil deal with Chelsea will interest Liverpool? No. The reason it's broken down is because they're only offering 85, but Benfica want around 102 to trigger that release clause. A lot of journalists had said it had been triggered, but it hadn't. Now, Rui Costa has said that unless you give us the release clause, we're not selling. Now, if you're telling me that Liverpool see that news and go, right, here's 102 million, just can't see it happening. I cannot see that happening. And I actually think there is a big chance now that Enzo Fernandez does stay at Benfica. The only clubs I could really imagine him going to now in terms of paying that money, which is massively overinflated, by the way, let's be honest. The only two clubs I could see paying that is probably Newcastle and PSG. And Newcastle are looking at James Maddison, who is fairly similar to Enzo, but obviously is Premier League proven. But they're going to want 80 upwards for Maddison as well. So it's a bit of a stalemate, really, with this Enzo deal. I think if Chelsea back out, then I'm not sure anyone actually goes in for him, if I'm honest. Let me know if you disagree in the comments. Thiago isn't an 8, he's a 10. Someone tell Klopp to play 4-2-3-1. Carvalho's good as a 10. Caicedo, McAllister and Bajcetic, more roles from Rassis. Big up to you. Mitoma is a great winger, as we know. Our scouts do not even look to South America. Smash the likes, as we know. Please do smash the likes. 117 of you right now. Really, there isn't any excuse for you to, if you are watching this video as a Liverpool fan, there isn't really any excuse for you to not like the video. So if there is 119 of you now, then why wouldn't there be 119 likes? It's simple logic, really. So please just do it if you can. Well, you can. You literally just do that and click. It's free. Rather FSG than Hicks and Gillette. I agree with you there, my brother, 100%. Do you think that we can win against Madrid? Yes, I do. FSG got lucky with Klopp, but their net spend is worse than Gillette. I would love to see James Maddison wear number 10 at Anfield. Very interesting. Chelsea offer 85 and Hakim Ziyech. That would probably get the deal done. Enzo going to go to Real, I reckon. Would he, though? If they're also interested in Jude Bellingham, then I don't think Real Madrid, even with their money, get Enzo and Jude. When you consider Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Modric, Kroos, they've got an unbelievable midfield now and for the future. It's already future-proof by bringing in Valverde, Camavinga and Tchouaméni, in my opinion. And obviously, we missed out on Tchouaméni last summer. We got up to the Anfield Lark. I think the owners have been too obsessed with not making a loss on selling players. Instead, we've hung on to them, and now they're worth peanuts. Sums it up perfectly. Smash the likes, please. Cruz is actually retiring at the end of the season, let alone leaving. He's actually going for good. Obviously, we have Thiago, but because of injuries, we can't rely on him all season. And how long is Van Dijk out for with this new injury? Big up to Honesty Hortensia as well. Sent in loads of super chats in the last stream. Massive shout out to you. Van Dijk, well, listen, it's a hamstring injury, guys. So that's at least 2 weeks. So we're looking at maybe Van Dijk missing the Chelsea game. We're looking at him maybe missing he's definitely not going to play against Brighton or Wolves, that's for sure. But let's come back on to Wolves. I mean, we can do these streams all day where we get lost in transfer chat, midfielder chat, FSG chat. If you want all of that chat, go back and watch Hot Copics from 2 days ago. It was a belter episode. But let's get into a lineup prediction. Everyone in the comments, if you're watching, 127 of you right now, smash your team predictions in the comments right now. I need to see them, right? Do we go with Kelleher? Do we stick with Alisson? I think it will be Kelleher. And MK saying that Van Dijk might be out for a minimum of 6 weeks, which would not be good. It would be a lot more than I just said there as well. But hamstrings are depending on the grade of tear. If it's a big tear, then you are looking at 6 to 10 weeks probably. But if it's a grade 2 or 3 tear, you're looking at maybe a 2 to 4 week recovery. And Van Dijk, as we know, is very rarely injured. Only really been injured once in his Liverpool career. Very badly, of course, from Jordan Pickford. How Jordan Pickford even got away with that. I hope he goes. I'm going to say it now. I hope Everton go down purely because of that game that we played against them in lockdown alone. Pickford managed to knock Van Dijk out for a year, and Richarlison took out Thiago for about 6 months as well. So I'm a big fan of Everton going down. Big fan of it. Hope they do. Right. Team predictions in the comments, please. Let's go with Jake first. He says for a defense, Kelleher, Tsimikas, Matip, Phillips, and Gomez. Wouldn't be too adverse to that, my friend Jake. I would not be. Kelleher in goal. I can't see Alisson playing in this one. I think Kelleher will play. Tsimikas will play, considering Robbo came off with a bit of a knock the other night as well. Matip and Phillips. Would I be mad at that? No. Rumors again today of Phillips maybe leaving for around 10 million in this window or the summer, but what a servant he's been to Liverpool. Without him and Reece Williams' help last season, or the season before, Liverpool don't get in the Champions League, guys. So massive shout out to Nat Phillips every time. Jake here has gone for Gomez at right back. Right now, I wouldn't necessarily agree with this. I would say that Calvin Ramsey starts at right back, and then you use Gomez as an option to be a cover at the back as a centre back. Kelleher in goal, I like. Tsimikas, I like. Matip and Phillips, I'm not mad at all. And then I would go with Calvin Ramsey at right back. In the midfield, this is a key question every single time Liverpool play at the minute. Who starts in the midfield? Local Guna is saying Ox needs to start at centre mid. Very happy if you're an Arsenal fan or a Guna right now, I'm guessing. Here we go from Ayman. Kelleher, Milner. Right, so Ayman's gone with Milner at right back. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. But Milner, Matip, and Gomez in the middle, and with Tsimikas at left back, Fabinho, Jones, Henderson, Ox, Nunez, Salah. I did not expect to see that as a predicted 11. No way. Lukey is going with Kelleher, Ramsey, Konate, Gomez, Robertson, Bajcetic, Naby, Henderson, Gakpo, Nunez, and Doak. This would be great. Konate will play, says Riku, obviously. What would be your back two in defense? Konate, Matip, or Joe Gomez, or Konate and Joe? I think you need someone with experience. So I would play Matip, and I would also play Konate. Just. I know I've already bigged up Nat Phillips, and he deserves it every single time he's mentioned. I love him. But for me, I think we go with Konate and Matip just because of that. Because if you actually think about it, Van Dijk played a lot of games in the FA Cup. He was often really the leader, the captain in these games if there was no Milner or Henderson. So a lot of times last year, Van Dijk played in the FA Cup. So how will we fare without Van Dijk going forward in the next few weeks if he is injured, if we are to believe what we've read? But I would go Konate and Matip. Let's have some more names for you here. Jake going with a midfield of Hendo, Bajcetic and Jones. There's so many names that we could throw into this team. Big up to Pranav, Kelleher, Tsimikas, Matip, Konate, Ramsey, Henderson, Stefan, Keita, Gakpo, Nunes and Doak. Interesting. I'd defo play Ibu. A chance to correct his mistake, gain confidence, hopefully, fingers crossed. Big up everyone in the chat. Big up to you, Nuno Felipe Fernandez. Honesty has gone for this as their team. Kelleher, Tsimikas, Konate, Matip, Ramsey. Midfield of Bajcetic, Naby Keita and Thiago. Attack of Salah, Darwin and Gakpo. And maybe Phillips can teach Konate how to defend. A little bit harsh. As I mentioned, that was Konate's only real bad game for Liverpool so far. And Kazi going here for Kelleher, Ramsey, Gomez, Phillips, Tsimikas, Ox, Bajcetic, Clark, Doak, Stewart and Carvalho. Wow. Spirit, Kelleher, Tsimikas, Matip, Konate, Gomez at right back here. Bajcetic, Keita, Hendo, Gakpo, Nunes, Salah. Right, thank you for all your lovely contributions there for your lineup predictions. But let me give you one. I'm going to go Kelleher, Calvin Ramsey, Konate, Matip and Tsimikas at the back. In the midfield, I'm going to go for Stefan Bajcetic. I'm going to go for Naby Keita. And I'm going to go for... Ooh. Because I want to say Fabinho or Hendo or Thiago. But I think I'm going to go with Thiago. So that would be a midfield of Stefan Bajcetic, Naby Keita, and Thiago in the midfield. I think you get good balance from that. And then up front, this could be anything, guys. This could literally be a Ben Doak situation. It could be a Gakpo situation, or it could be a Nunes situation. Could be a Salah situation. Could be a Firmino situation. He will be back now. Oh, so far I've gone fairly young, fairly experienced. Nice little mix. So I'm going to go with up front Bobby Firmino in the number 9. I'm going to go with Cody Gakpo to start the game. I'm going to go with Ben Doak as well, people. Let me know if you agree with that in the comments. Clinton Lemord has gone for Kelleher, Ramsey, Gomez, Konate, Tsimikas, Bajcetic, Keita, Jones, Gakpo, Ox and Elliott. Subs, Adrian, Matip, Robbo, Milner, Carvalho, Thiago, Doak and Nunes. Gakpo, Nunes and Doak up front. Yeah, I would also agree with that spirit as well. So much focus on Nunes' missed chances. Mo is under the radar, not far behind him in terms of big chances missed. Worried about his lack of impact, should be a leader leading by example. Good shout. Yeah, Salah needs criticism just like any other player. He's not exempt. And especially when you've missed that many big chances, which is even less than Nunes, then you do need the light shone on you a little bit to give you that bit of a kick up the arse. I think Salah does need that. Do you think James Redmond will ever love Nunes? Yes, I do. That man will love Darwin Nunes as much as I do one day. Trust me, he will. Who's that? Rodrigo de Paul is your picture. Maybe one day. Blessings all, Bayesian Pops. Absolutely right. Let's get into the score prediction. Let me know as well if you're at the game on Saturday. Mario will be doing the fan cams and I will be doing an instant match reaction on the channel straight after. And then obviously next week we go into a little bit of a break because we didn't get through to the next round of the League Cup. There is a 7-day break now between Wolves and Brighton away on the 14th, a 3 o'clock kickoff. So a nice 7-day break there for Liverpool to get a few more names back in the squad that have been injured. Maybe it's the time that we see Diogo Jota come back as well. He's so unlucky with injuries so far in his Liverpool career. Iman is going for 2-0 Wolves. I'm going to go with, Ruvi's very excited to see Gakpo, obviously. I'm going to go with, no, Rodrigo de Paul is not an ideal Klopp midfielder. Trust me, he's a shithouse and he's a diving little rat. Score prediction is 3-1. We'll sum a little go, and I'm going to go with that as well. Liverpool 3-1 against Wolves, which would take us to the 4th round of the FA Cup, a step closer to retaining it. But there you go, guys. That has been your match preview. We've spoken about the Van Dijk injury. How will that affect Liverpool going forward? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? Is it 6 weeks minimum? We can only pray that it's the former. We don't want him to be out for that long, obviously. We have spoken about, will Gakpo start? I think he will, but again, could be wrong there. And of course, we've spoken about our record against Wolves in the FA Cup, which isn't good, if I'm honest. And we've, of course, spoken about the midfield issue, FSG, and everything else that you could want to speak about. So if you only just joined us, then make sure you head back to the start of the episode and watch all of that as we chat about the main topics here that are concerning Liverpool at the minute. As I said, Saturday night, Mario will be doing the fan cams outside Anfield. So if you are there, make sure you go along and say hi. Join us on the Kop TV. And then, of course, I will be doing an instant match reaction video to that game as well. Again, over 100 of you right now. If you would like the Discord link, then I can send you that here. I have made a Kop TV Discord channel where we can really go in and talk about this in a lot more detail. So if you do want that, I will put the link in the chat for you right now. So there is the Discord link to join Liverpool. The Kop TV's Discord, official Discord channel. We can chat a lot more in there. Will I be there at Anfield for the Real Madrid game? Of course I will, my friend. When would I ever miss a Champions League game under the lights, especially against Real Madrid? Never. Trust me. Right, I've given you the team prediction, the score prediction as well. Keep the comments flying in. If you aren't watching this live, keep them going in the comments after and let me know your thoughts to what I've said in this video. But until Saturday, we need a massive win in this FA Cup game. Get the confidence back up. I'd love to see Gakpo start, but we'll have to find out. Take care. All the best.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stands, for a lot more Liverpool content.
Remember to check out our Shopify store for this beauty and much more. It's the new Luchito's Way Diaz t-shirt based on Luis Diaz and Carlito's Way. It's out now, designed by Rubi.
And there's going to be so many more.
There is. Make sure you're involved. Go and buy this now and use the Kop TV